it's great if we have clever surgeons, or if we have a very efficient radiology department. But at the end of the day, the result we must measure is the results of the care. Do we make patients healthier, helping them to live better lives or not? The most important question is not if you have access to a particular care, because that may actually be the wrong care, or it may not be very good care. So access to care is not the critical, but access to the right care. So that ultimately equity should be about outcomes. Health equity rather than equal access. And so we think outcomes measurement is super important to drive the right debate on how to increase the equity of health among our citizens across nations.
Why are we here? Why is ICHOM here? Because I think each of us knows the potential of what can happen if we unleash the power of outcomes on healthcare. We all know that most of what we do in healthcare is ineffective and wasted. We all know that we spend immense amounts of money on things that do not create value. The most conservative estimates place that at 50%. That means that of the 10% the world spends on health, 5% could be freed to do other things. Enough to say fix global warming, enough to say fix ending poverty, enough to bring humans to a new potential. So we have a choice of getting this right and delivering value and outcomes so that healthcare can become something that advances the human condition in a profound way and frees up the resources to make the world we want it to be. I think that is why we are here and why ICHOM is here.
So ICHOM exists to bring measurement to healthcare. We aspire to harness the knowledge that already exists in the world, especially in patients and providers, and through measurement to improve health outcomes. The goal is to be patient-centered, to improve the lived experience of patients, not just the academic measures. And ICHOM, we view our role as convening experts globally, and that includes, again, patient representatives, provider representatives, and bringing experts together to develop standard sets as a way of measuring and improving health outcomes.
ICHOM is the first global organization that has sought to bring together patients and clinicians to define what good looks like. What is healthcare quality, or what are the outcomes that we should try to achieve for each patient group? And this has the three aspects of this that I think are important. First of all, these standards are international, and this allows us to look at differences in outcomes and therefore find differences in clinical practice that impact patients. So we can find best practice by having standardized measurement. Secondly, because diseases are the same all over the world, we will also be able to look at differences in how healthcare systems are organized. So if one system uses primary care in a different way than others, they may have better results for diabetes patients. And we would be able to find that by comparing the countries when it comes to the outcomes they achieve for their patients. And finally, this is also very important for the future. There's a lot of hope for what people call precision medicine and to deploy machine learning and artificial intelligence in healthcare. But in order for that to really happen, we need to have big volumes of standardized data. And ultimately, we need to have standardized measurements for the results, because both precision medicine and the most interesting applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning require standardized outcomes, because that's what you need to optimize for.
To measure outcomes in the real world, we have to address the technical challenge of how do we measure meaningful outcomes, which is the complicated and difficult task that ICHOM has undertaken. And we have to undertake addressing the system challenge, that it has to remain committed to delivering what matters to people in the end, and building systems that build that feedback in and drive the way we allocate resources and reimburse and to pay and reward people for actually creating true human value.
What happens if you don't measure outcomes? Well, we go on as before, with cost increases and a difficulty to communicate why healthcare needs so much resources. And above all, we maintain a practice that is unsafe for healthcare and unsafe for patients.